Welcome to the Recluse's Cookbook. I'm your host, Vinnie McHale. The Recluse's Cookbook is a monthly podcast where I, your humble recluse, engage in one-on-one conversations with persons of substance. People who may not get the column inches in the media, but their work or life's events are remarkable.
I met Aidan Killian at Unshaw Comedy Club on Camden Street in 2009. Anyone who remembers the Irish comedy scene back then will tell you, if you were a comedian, Unshaw was the club to be seen, and if you were a customer, it was the place to be seen at. It was an open stage where the experienced mixed with the new, and audiences got a belly laugh. All the time, it was facilitated by Aidan Killian, through his wish to bring comedy and bonhomie to the masses. Since then, Aidan has toured the world with his unique style of comedy storytelling. He has a talent for taking niche subjects like whistleblowers and religion, for instance, making them accessible to a mainstream audience, giving them a good laugh, and when they're on their way home, they'll have learned something too. So ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, I give you Aidan Killian.
What's the best way to describe what it is that you do, Aidan?
I'm a storytelling Vinny, so I do storytelling and I do comedy. Comedy is what you're interested in, truth and freedom. That must be the core of what I'm doing on in the world on for me. Where's my truth funny? Because yourself, if it's not funny, they'll hurt you.
So you weren't always a stand-up comedian or a storyteller. You were an investment banker as well. How did it happen that you swapped the banking for the mic?
I was an investment banker. What I did was I did business school, and my dad free money and that. Often got a job. When I was in Tokyo, I did these meetings morning with all the steers and the managing directors and the vice presidents with the titles. And I, being Irish, used to get shy and blush and having to speak. So I saw someone stand-up comedy. I said, geez, if I could do it, I'd be very confident at these morning meetings. Name down, Vinny, to do a stand-up gig, to practice, to do 3 minutes, working on it right. My uncle helped me right. I went on stage and I did it. And after that, I didn't anyway fear, with the speaking. So that's how it started. It was my first. I did it for battles. I never really thought about being a comic. Do it for presentation skills rather than to be a comic. So I started it.
Can you remember the first joke you wrote?
I don't remember the first joke. I remember the day, and I don't remember the opening joke, but I remember, maybe it was. I remember one of the jokes. It was something like this. I had a serious, meaningful, long-term relationship so far this week.
And can you remember the first gig? What was it like? Were you racked with nerves? How did you feel when you came off
no
it?
idea. Oh, we're fine. The gig itself went well. People, for expats now, they'd all be English speaking, of course, but there was an open mic, which I was. Got a few laughs, enjoyed it, and I was welcome back. And then afterwards, King, I felt, straight away, as making an audience laugh is such a high, such a huge natural high.
Did you have an interest, say, in stand-up comedy, watching stand-up comedians before that? Or was this like a whole new world to you that you didn't know?
I didn't watch comedy. I mean, I would have seen the likes of Richard Pryor and the big fellas on the telly maybe, but even maybe Eddie Murphy's was the first one I saw as a special. I didn't interest until I saw it that day with my friend and was in school. I was fun in school, escaping from the misery of being foreign stuff I wasn't interested in. So I just had fun.
You're well travelled in your pursuit of the craft of stand-up and storytelling. I mean, how many gigs and shows do you think you've done in total since that first particular show?
Hard to know for sure, but it's in the thousands. Anyway, 1,000 maybe. Yeah, It would be. Sure, you'd be doing. Years ago, that's 2007. 2007, I think, or 2006 was my first gig. Probably 20 a year, 15 years, 20 years. I built it up. Let's just say 20 a month by 12, 200. And sure, 10 years, that's 2,400. Then you put in Edinburgh gig where you're doing fucking 4 a day. So I'd say it's 8,000
So you're at it 15 years. What does your daily itinerary look like? What would a professional stand-up comedian's daily itinerary look like?
Well, back in the day when we were allowed to gather and do admin, gigs and go over comedy, go to a park, talk to my comedy set, and then go and do a gig in the evening, drink until I was drunk. But nowadays, I'm editing projects because I'm still gigging, of course, because I'm doing my own tour at the moment. Whereas during the lockdowns, I've got my own thing. I'm still gigging. So right now, there's the background work, the admin, all 7 days in a row, six out of 7 days, but they're different counties. So I'll drive to South on Friday and then even, and when I get there, I'll meet them. They'll cook me dinner. I'll do a gig to the audience that they provide, which could be their friends and family, and then I'll probably if they drink, if they don't want drink, and the next there might be breakfast, and the next day I'll drive county, Limerick County, Cork, County Waterford, Oxford, and then I'll come a few days off and rightfully go over the jokes and make them funnier.
So you returned to Dublin and you set up the Laugh Out Loud comedy club in on Shaw on Camden Street. Can you tell us about how that club came about? What was your reason for setting up the club?
Well, I'm quitting now and I wanted to be a comic, so I came home and of course I wasn't to be getting paid or anything, but I suppose I was living off the dole in sort of squat type house that was getting ventilation, just stockles from throwing stuff at the windows. And I did a gig and I did well enough. And afterwards I asked for another gig. He basically put me down for 6 months afterwards. Not why he did it, I thought it rude, but what club, it's his thing. So I just put my own thing then, and I found a fella who introduced me to the manager, and I asked the manager, the Owen show, Eddie, could we perform there? He said, grand, originally. So we did it every Wednesday. But I worked my ass off, Vinny. I used to go up and print at the times. So I print off these tickets, give them to every shop, give them the tickets and put them up and give them buyers. I went to UC Trinity and taught comedy. That is because I wanted to meet in comedy, so the comedy club. But after, I suppose, a year or two, we filled it. Like it's only a small room; it only holds 50, but like we'd be getting regular basis. It was perfect for a small room. It's the place to do comedy. I wanted it for stage time. I like things to do something well, so I just kept at it. And then I didn't really know what I was too many acts on. Like maybe I could have had more acts, but that was good for the up and coming people. But at the same time, but you don't want to be that guy on stage, just one thing for an hour every night.
I remember it as the place to be, certainly if you were involved in stand-up comedy at the time. On Shaw was the place to be seen and to be seen on the stage. And I have many favourite moments from people I've seen on the stage there. What were your favourite moments in the club?
Favourite moments? Memorable moments? Having sex in the toilet is a good one.
Okay, right. Yeah, ask a question.
Tommy Tiernan turning up was great because
yeah.
I'm a big fan of Phil Kay and Simon Munnery. These great comics I saw in Edinburgh. They were great. Just doing that was great because I didn't really know these things worked. I just went over in Edinburgh, saw someone I liked, approached them and said, look, this is all the money we can make. I can guarantee this. You can sleep in my house. I'll fly you over. I didn't know if they'd say yes or not, but they said yes. And they said yes, and we did it. So that was amazing for me to bring over these, award-winning, fucking phenomenal comedians and filling the room for it.
You developed a really good reputation as a stand-up and a storyteller outside of Ireland. How has that emerged? How did that come about? How did you make that step?
Well, Vinny, I'm not sure if everybody would agree with that, but thanks. How did I make the step? Well, Edinburgh would have been a big help to get the first hour show. And then by doing an hour show, I saw the pros, the likes of Phil Kay and Simon Munnery and Craig Campbell, and Tommy Tiernan and Doug Stanhope and these acts who are doing a new hour every year, or more or less, or Phil Kay will do a new hour every weekend if he wants. And I thought, wow, I got to do this every year, because it took me probably 5 years to build my first hour. And then after that, I tried to do one every year, for Edinburgh. So that would have been the big thing. And then I suppose I got a few reviews in Edinburgh, a few nice reviews, and then touring the show. So I think that's the difference: taking a show and then touring it, telling the world, I've got a show. I want to go to Perth and Adelaide and Melbourne. I want to bring it to Asia. I want to bring it, around Ireland. So touring your own show rather than, going to a comedy club and getting on your hands and knees and licking the producer or booker's feet and saying, please, can I have 10 minutes? No, it's your venue. You're investing in yourself because you believe in yourself. You go to Leicester Square Theatre, you book it, you get the promotion done, you get people into your show because they're interested, because they believe in what you're doing, and you tour it. And ideally, you make money, or at least you don't lose money doing it.
Yeah.
If you lose money, then ultimately you'll be in trouble, because you won't be able to live, feed yourself, earn a living.
You developed a really good reputation as a stand-up and a storyteller outside of Ireland. How has that emerged? How did that come about? How did you make that step?
Well, Vinny, I'm not sure if everybody would agree with that, but thanks. How did I make the step? Well, Edinburgh would have been a big help to get the first hour show. And then by doing an hour show, I saw the pros, the likes of Phil Kay and Simon Munnery and Craig Campbell and Tommy Tiernan and Doug Stanhope, and these acts who are doing a new hour every year, or more or less, or Phil Kay will do a new hour every weekend if he wants. And I thought, wow, I got to do this every year, because it took me probably 5 years to build my first hour. And then after that, I tried to do one every year, for Edinburgh. So that would have been the big thing. And then I suppose I got a few reviews in Edinburgh, a few nice reviews, and then touring the show. So I think that's the difference: taking a show and then touring it, telling the world, I've got a show. I want to go to Perth and Adelaide and Melbourne. I want to bring it to Asia. I want to bring it, around Ireland. So touring your own show rather than, going to a comedy club and getting on your hands and knees and licking the producer or booker's feet and saying, please, can I have 10 minutes? No, it's your venue. You're investing in yourself because you believe in yourself. You go to Leicester Square Theatre, you book it, you get the promotion done, you get people into your show because they're interested, because they believe in what you're doing, and you tour it. And ideally, you make money, or at least you don't lose money doing it.
Yeah.
If you lose money, then ultimately you'll be in trouble, because you won't be able to live, feed yourself, earn a living.
You said something there about taking any topic and making it funny. You pick really niche subjects, like Take the Red Pill, The Money Shot, Jesus versus Buddha, say the Holy Trinity, the Whistleblowers. This is stuff that not many people, they might have heard about it, but they won't know about it. Why do you focus on those? Why did you pick those subjects, like, as a whole? Because they are quite niche.
I suppose the truth is, Vinny, I don't really care about comedy. I don't really care about the joke. I find it kind of needy, in some way pathetic, of the audience. And I don't like that part of myself who relies on, the audience. That myself care about is me, and I care about the world, the horrors and injustice it upsets me, and that's probably why I do it. So Take the Red Pill for me was about the banking. I was a banker. Something's really going on here, guys, and I tried to talk about that, and that was on some level I achieved that. And then I couldn't understand why they punish, created WikiLeaks, a platform to tell the truth. So I wanted to do a show about him. Originally, Saving Julian Assange, view from Chortle. There's no stars on it, but it compared me to Tommy Tiernan, which was very encouraging for me. So, but I expanded it to put in Chelsea and Edward Snowden. Powerful video at the end of it. I did like 40 comedy that was quite funny, light as well for the subject. And they played this video, like it. Basically, it was from WikiLeaks, shooting at the Reuters journalist. Hear them in the helicopter, a 12-year-old child in the belly. And then he goes, you can hear him, shouldn't bring children to a battlefield. See, they were shooting unarmed people and hiding this evidence so the world couldn't see it. So I played that, and you can imagine the audience going from 40 minutes of happiness to watching that video. And I came back on dressed as a clown going to something earlier. And, you know, it was a powerful, but it left people thinking on the news. You're busy telling us about 1 billion cases last night video. You never told us about WikiLeaks. You never support Julian Assange. So why is the media lying? And are people dumb enough? That would be where I'd be coming from, Vinny. You know, I'm going to have an audience of 40 or 50 people, but still need to express these. What are you actually saying? Does it move toward, or are you just doing, you know, like what are you up there for? I mean, making people feel good is great as well, right?
I remember the controversy of WikiLeaks. Well, I don't remember what it was about. And I remember I watched all your shows from start to finish on YouTube in the course of the research for this. And out of all the shows, that one stuck in my mind the most because of the video that you showed at the end. I hadn't seen that video. Despite all the news about it, I hadn't seen that video from start to finish. And it left me, it imprinted in my mind that I actually went out, I started looking stuff up about it. You know, that's my views, that whether it's a movie or comedy or it's a play or whatever, a book, you know, there should be enough there to entertain you, but at the same time, it should make you think about reading up on these things. So, I mean, I got a lot out of it. So, you know, it really emotionally, it struck me in a way that that I generally wouldn't be struck by, say, comedy shows in particular. Like,
yeah, if that's what I want, when I want to think and I want to feel and be left with. So that one was it was straight that, and I enjoyed it. I was happy with that show. This woman came to see it and she cried, and she booked me for Glastonbury. I did it 2 years in a row. In fact, I was a highlight in the comedy a longer time than all of these acts that I worship.
So after that, you up sticks again, and you got involved with a comedy club in Singapore. Am I right?
Yeah, that's right. I
Can you tell us?
fully financed it. I could. You'd be interested, Vinny, because I got a bit of money, and I was working on a comedy festival, Magner's International Comedy Festival in Asia. And it's in 10 countries, Tokyo, cities, Tokyo, KL, and it's all over the place, in Vietnam. And it was great with Bailey and Doug Stanhope and many great comedians. But during this, I was going to Singapore, and there was a guy I met there. He had a great idea, set up a comedy club in Singapore, full-time. Fell out. Yeah. So I put up my 20 was to put up his, but his name, and I lent it to him. I put it in, and then he stole my money, and he destroyed the club, and it's all falling apart, and he stepped down as director, and you'd have him kidnapped and tied to a tree and left there for 2 days and come back. And I know you couldn't do that in Singapore, and he couldn't go to the courts because it was going to cost more. Otherwise, snookered. It was a perfectly calculated crime, you know. So I spent a year fixing it. Basically a year. So I went to Singapore, fixed the place, turned it around, did him, got all the comedians on board. They all hated him, so they did a boycott. They boycotted his other gigs until he got out of them. Basically, he stopped actively trying to destroy the club. Comedians put pressure on him. It's a beautiful moment. We got all the senior comedians in Singapore, sat in discussion, and I took out all the accounts, and I said, listen, if anybody wants to see anything, they're willing to see it. You know, I'm 100% transparent. And at the end of the meeting, all the comedians came together, and that meant we won the club over, turned it around, and it was packed, 100 people in this bar, comedians every 6 days a week. We had shows on a Saturday. We turned the thing around, paid off all the debts that the guy had left. We were the place to be. Storytelling was there, poetry, spoken comedy. It was the only full-time arts venue in Singapore. The line. It was beautiful. It turned around. We got an extra toilet built. It was just so cool, Vinny. You got to imagine on shoulder size, but I've invested a fortune into painting it up and making it specific for comedy.
Mm.
So real beauty. But then, of course, code regulations came apart. We can't pay the rent if you're not open. Whatever stuff we have, I went from being I could have, I wouldn't say retired on, but I would have had an income coming in. After we moved the debts, so I would have had 3,000 a month coming in for the year, which I could have lived off. So now it's all that's that. It's gone at the moment. Those could come back, but this COVID regulation stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's very hard for performers at the moment. I mean, you can't earn a crust doing what you do, how you earn your living. How, I'd say, how are other performers that how are they getting by? Do you know?
They're the very successful ones, and the very successful ones are probably, I don't know, I'm guessing they are. I don't know other people's business, but the government are giving people not to work, which is an economic crane crash waiting to happen. But and then the rich ones are already rich. They're on TV like that, so they're fine. The guys in Singapore, some people are going online doing gigs. I think, I understand why they're doing that, because they're creative and it's the only platform they have. But for me, I find that very hard, Vinny, because, well, ultimately, I do comedy because I want to gather people. I want to be with people. I want, to share that creative space. So by putting something online, you're having a human being on their own in front of a screen. That's exactly what we're trying to get away from. I've felt what it's like to be in a room filled with laughter. And now you expect me to reduce myself to staring at a laptop and waiting for Zoom laughs. Be serious. It doesn't, doesn't work. We're building a platform to cage, to imprison us, to be left alone and isolated. So I won't participate in that. I experimented with it, but I'm not interested in part of it.
Yeah.
Saying that, I'm happy to chat to you, but to do this is perfect for this platform. But it's not for stand-up comedy.
Yeah.
People gathering in a room, sitting with their friends, drink, meeting new people, seeing the comedians live. Nobody can edit. This is it's real, human beings, and you see the mistakes and everything. It's very human interaction, and to see someone up there sharing their art. And on Zoom or online, you may as well just watch one of the greats, He done set. We'll watch Bill Burr rather than watching some open mic time.
Because you did say you experimented there with it. You did What's Beneath the Mask at the start of the year. I watched it there. You uploaded it on YouTube. I gotta say, I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. I hadn't set to an online comedy show in my life. I'd be kind of somewhat skeptical. I'd be on your side and saying that when I go to a theater or I go to a concert, I want to be with people watching the show. I really enjoyed it. I got to say, what was other than the obvious? What did you take from it? It was you were having a lot of fun, and I noticed that you were approaching it in a different way to what I would have seen you approaching it before. Even as a performer, you were beginning to make a turn into something else. I mean, how did you find it like?
Well, first of all, I found it's kind of it reminded me of a gig I did on show once, where I went up on stage and I lost the audience really earlier on. I don't know why, but they hated me. But I didn't back down. I didn't try and win them over. I just kind of became aloof and just kind of looked over their heads and did my set anyway. Just ignored them and just did my set, talking to myself like a soliloquy. And there was two people in the show who loved my friend. The other guy was a stranger. So Scott, my friend, a different Scott, he said, it was great to see you were so liberal, giving a shit about it. that's kind of it with the Zoom thing. Like, I don't know if they're gonna not really connected to them. There's a slight delay, and they're seeing their faces, or they're watching their phone. I'm just doing my own thing, kind of to myself, just going, rah, no, it happened. And this thing, and if you're listening or not, it doesn't really matter. So I'm just doing the thing. How did I approached it with help from Trevor Locke over to Ireland as well. He's a great comic.
Yeah.
Great comic. Can't believe Trevor, and he's a brilliant teacher. If anybody's going to strongly recommend classes for like £20 hour, and it's 2 hours, but it's really good. And he's a great, and he really helped me ask questions of my comic and get more jokes out of it. So I'd start talking about COVID, and he just asked me 10 more questions, homework, and I'd come back to it and answer the questions, and then we'd have more bits to work on. And then it became an hour, like in, I don't know, like a month, 6 weeks. I made it an hour in 6 weeks. So like basically, yeah, just go to his class each week, and I'd have an extra bit and an extra bit, and then one-on-one as well. So yeah, I found him great. So that's what I was looking for, something to do. I was not fully isolated in Amsterdam at the time. It was during COVID, everything was closed, so I wanted to create this show. And back then I believed the narrative, just the other month. Back then I sort of believed when I started made that, and now I think that's the case at all. But so I did that show and really enjoyed it, Vinny. I did enjoy doing it. It's just that, like, you get 150 hits, like, there's no benefit from it. Like, I don't make any gain from it except for the crack. I had a bit of crack doing it. I got to become friends with Trevor, and I like being creative. So that was. I should do that show, shouldn't I? I should bring some of it back.
Yeah, well, I mean, there was one thing that I saw you did do a character before. I remember, kind of a Spanish or Portuguese lover.
Wow, you remember that? My name is Don Juan, the world's greatest lover.
But in this one, you took out, I don't know what to call her, but kind of like you became a granny who was the biggest rat. She's the biggest moral virtue signaler in the world. How did she come out? I mean, when I saw that, and I could see you riffing, I mean, I could see that none of this was actually written. This was just you coming out.
I'll have to go back, Vinny. I'd have to look at it. I don't remember that bit. That's great.
I'll check it. You put the blanket over your head and you just went riffing on COVID. I call her COVID granny.
Yeah, I'm COVID. I'm evil COVID. I'm gonna kill you.
Yeah. So that was completely improvised. I mean, that wasn't. That's what it appeared to me.
I probably half wrote it. All right, I probably half wrote it, but then you leave bits improvising as you go. When I speak quickly, I'm improvising, and when it's all clinical, then I'm planning it.
Yeah, I have to say, I was in stitches laughing watching it. I thought it was brilliant. You're on your new tour now, The Master of the Arts, Irish Mythology, which again is another. Again, you've gone in a totally different direction. Why Irish mythology?
Well, my grandmother taught Irish mythology, and COVID regulations have ensured that my grandmother's been in a home. It's horrific to the elderly in Ireland. I can't speak about other countries because but I think it's really unnatural, and I think it's an attack on human. My grandmother was very close to me, growing up with her. So I kind of did a show dedicated to her. And so it's like me visiting her in the home. We weren't even a visitor, Vinny. We did stand outside the home and wave. She couldn't even see that far at least 1, maybe 2 days of her life. I don't like using the word satanic willy-nilly, but yeah, there's something very dark about it. My humble opinion. So I did the show dedicated to her, which means that I'm focusing on my husband. So it's me in the home and her technology stories, and I love it. It's coming Balor, that story of Balor, and he tyranny and all over Ireland. So Ireland was controlled by fear, and in lieu of the light, he spearheaded light and woke people up out of their state of fear and into courage. And this is in our Irish mythology, and that's what's happening now. People are going around, acting from a place of fear. Oh, you have to put that thing on there. You have to act like that. You can't go there. Put the visor on. Oh yeah, two masks and a visor. But geez, you can't buy socks. Oh, you can't travel. That's all bullshit. It's dangerous, So change it, but what I can, my little piece. And we'll look back on this time for artists. We'll look at Tommy Tiernan and we'll say, what did you do, Tommy? What did you have to do yourself? And Tommy's my favorite comedian in Ireland, but he doesn't. I don't take him seriously again, and that applies to all artists. If you are participating in this, and taking the king's shilling and saying nothing, turns out suicides and all these people. No, it wouldn't sit well with me, Vinny. Put it that way.
How you're touring it secretly? How did you go about putting it together like that?
I put it up on Facebook and I said, listen, lads, I won't be having anything to do with this lockdown. I'm going to tour Ireland, 32 counties. Who wants to book me? And that same day, I had 20 bookings. It's not me, Vinny. There's people in the country. Smart. They have their own land. They're farmers. There's different ages from 30, the average age, in their late 40s. There's people in their 60s. There's writers. There's, I'm from Leitrim. I went to Waterford. I did a yoga. I did a family home, County Offaly. The friends and neighbours, small gig there, beautiful gig. Offaly, County Kildare, White's Castle, Mass Rock with about 50 people, children there. Mass Rock, it's illegal to say mass back in the day. It's a criminal for someone to gather. I haven't been the most fan of my life, but how dare you? You've no right to do that. County Islands. There's sort of mainstream normal people. Some of them are going to get the jab and all that, but they still felt that we have a right to gather, a right to have doors there. There was a bit of social distancing. Again, used to gather and to drink and have fun. Limerick was cancelled last minute. It's happening next week. County Meath, about 30 people there at a county gathering. Really smart, home, really intelligent, loving people. So I have a bunch left to do as well, but I've done all more County Cavan there. There was doctors at it and nurses talking about, the crimes of what's going on. Doctors and nurses talking about the gathering, professors talking about what's going on with the most intelligent people. All know that this is absolute nonsense. You should know that by now. People should know that by now. You don't be getting in the way. Don't be ratting your neighbours. In Dublin, we did one on a rooftop just to see if people would rat. But the manager came up and he said, "Who are you?" Who am I? Sure, I've been asking myself that for years. Who are you and have you got identification? No, I haven't. Well, go downstairs and get your identification, come back up and introduce yourself, and people can make a decision if they want to leave or not. And in the meantime, there's a seat here. You're welcome to join us if you want. But he didn't join the show, Vinny. You'll see it in the documentary. County Kilkenny's done as well. And so there's people all over Ireland gathering. They're gathering anyway, because you can't gather in the cafes. Don't forget the French Revolution happened in the cafes and the bars, wherever people could meet and talk and explain to themselves what's really happening. So something is happening, closing people's business and taking people's rights. You can't travel 5 kilometers from your house. The last time that was in place was 1695 in Cromwell. You couldn't travel 5 miles from your house. Now, when you go along part of it, and that's dangerous, because you do today creates a reality for tomorrow. And I don't want tomorrow. The future generation, I've had my life, but the next generation stops pulling you over, asking your business. Don't ask my business. Man, I'm a human being. Anywhere I'm going, I'm not a crime. The only crime that's committed here is the crime against privacy, the crime right to travel now, because I right where silly legislation says or not. So that I come from. I'm quite clear with we have human and we do have them. They're between us and God. No man or woman can tell me if you don't harm another. And if you're claiming harming someone, prove it. Prove that my breath is harming me. And if you can't prove it, I'll touch your face to my comedy gigs. You don't want to. I don't care. I don't need you. They are happening. People are coming together. And they're the best people, Vinny. That's where you're at. You want to sit in front of your top forever? You want to go back and enjoy life. If you're feeling sick, stay at home. Obviously, that's what you do anyway. If you really want to wear a mask, wear one. But if you're doing it because you're trying to make someone feel good, because you don't want to scare someone or you don't really believe in it, you're participating in it. Stop doing it. It doesn't work. The science is there. Read up about it.
Finally, I asked that question I want to ask all people who devote themselves to their craft. What makes you do it?
I'm doing it because it's the work of God within me. That's where I come. And I do it, and I do it well. I really see, the help in others, the state changing, higher state, and laughter, happiness. That's really liberal, and it's liberating for me putting it together. It's the thing I care about. My aim now is kind of save Ireland again until we can fix this mess and hold all of these criminals accountable like that. Health apartheid. So I don't intend in Ireland. I'm letting go of business abroad, letting go of everything. I'm still can to help. I have a new Ireland every year, Vinny. New show in Ireland to just do that, to tour around Ireland, meeting with good people, and because that's what I love doing. So I love Ireland, I love the Irish people, and I love creating shows. So you're going to see me every year with a new show in Ireland, traveling around, and I mean traveling around barns and kitchens and churches and schools and gardens, wherever on mountains, wherever I'm invited to a gig, I'll do a gig in Ireland with or without any restrictions.
And that concludes this episode of The Recluse's Cookbook. Thank you for listening.